All right, welcome back to another special episode of Out the Box Talk.
Yes.
I got my brother A Level with me, and I got yeah, man, I'm just happy to be back. We got a special guest in the place to be. You know what I mean? This brother is like family
Swizzle.
to Out the Box, man. He's been with us for quite some time.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to have him here as an artist, you know. Because when I first met him, that's what I met him on. I met you at, I think it was like the Brooklyn Hip Hop
Festival. Yeah.
Word. So we here for our second episode. I'm so glad to keep it going. We got some good responses, A-Level, from the first one.
Yes, we got a lot of good feedback. On Facebook. Hip Hop Thinks Out the Box. Shout out to everybody on there. Charlie Taylor, Julian Stout, JSWISS, he comes on there as well too, so we're gonna get this thing going again.
No doubt. So there's a lot of things we want to talk about today. I think a lot has happened. As we said it for the last show, the show airs bi-weekly, right? So we're on the Anchor podcast. Shout out to the people at Anchor .fm, which is where we're recording out of. We're recording out of their studio.
Yes, sir.
So it airs on the Anchor.fm app. It also airs on YouTube. So we produce a video, and we also have it on a few other podcast streaming platforms. So you can go to the website or just visit our Out the Box Radio Facebook page or Instagram page for more info. All right. So a lot of things to talk about. Always not enough time though, but we working on that. But I got my brother JSWISS in the place to be.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Good to be back on Out the Box.
Right. Let's go into you, man. You got a new album.
Yeah,
that's coming out.
Yes.
Talk to the people about. Well, let's just go back a little bit. Tell the people a little bit about who you are as an artist and what is your mission as an MC.
Yeah, so I'm JSWISS, all caps, no spaces. MC. Also, I become kind of like a jazz artist favorite MC as well. Do a lot of sitting in around the city with different bands, jazz artists, places like Blue Note Jazz Club, Rockwood, music halls. Some of the places I sit in a lot and perform as well myself. I've been putting out music. I put out my first mixtape at the end of 2009, so like a decade in, right now. And this is going to be my first album coming up, my first album since 2013. I put out some EPs, singles, music videos the last few years, but this is the first full-length project in 6 years.
Wow.
So, yeah.
6 years.
Yeah.
It doesn't even feel like that.
Yeah,
like,
it goes
you always
fine,
putting out stuff.
I know, right?
Yo, I missed your show at the Apollo Theater.
Yeah, that was great. That was great to be part of. It wasn't necessarily just my show, but to be part of the celebration that they did for the 85th anniversary of the Apollo.
Dope.
Wow.
And I got to, close out the show with my band. I actually performed there before for the 80th anniversary. But when I did that, it was like they had their house band that was doing it. And I did one of my songs and a Rakim song as they were going through the decades. But this time I got to do, it's my own stuff for my own band and close out the show. And that was fantastic. That was an honor, obviously. It's the Apollo Theater, so it's legendary, iconic.
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely, man. One thing I gotta say about you, I've watched your growth throughout the years, and I feel like, I don't know, maybe I've known you for the last 6 years or something.
Yeah, maybe 6 years.
Yeah, and I've seen you go from, like different levels of your artistry. Like you didn't initially start out with a band. Like you have a band. Is that a band that you tour with all the time?
That's a band that I play with, and I play with that band, and I have other musicians that I know well too. Is my circle, people that I known grows. So sometimes I plug in different people, even on my own things. But I mean, wanting to do that is new within the past 5-6 years. But I've always had a great appreciation for the musicianship, live musicianship. Growing up listening to, in addition to hip hop, listening to like the Soul Live and Brand New Heavies and Soul Live Lettuce. Jamiroquai, just all these great, musical acts that have the musicianship in it. So having appreciation for that is kind of natural too. It's not just like a marketing scheme where like, oh, the new thing is to have live instruments, so let me figure out how to put that in. Is something that comes naturally to me.
Right.
So yeah.
So what would you describe what it is that you do for someone that, for our viewers and people that are listening right now, what would you call your style of hip hop, your music?
So yeah, it's hip hop and it's authentic, in the sense of the word that you already know, and then I kind of have like my own theme. It's authentic. It's AWTHENTIC, and it's just leaving people in awe of how authentic and true to yourself you are.
Nice.
And so that's just kind of to inspire people, a wide range of different types of people, just by being myself, and then inspiring other people to be themselves as well.
That's dope.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you say, I love what you said just now about being yourself.
Yeah.
Because that theme right there in today's, landscape of music is something that's you don't hear too often. Mm-hmm. You don't see too often. It's like, I guess the industry per se, I don't know if you want to even call it that, do not encourage artists to literally be themselves. Everyone's trying to sound like someone else. Mm-hmm. So I applaud you, and I think that's noble for you to put that out there and say like, yeah, it's cool, I'm doing my thing, and it's okay to be you.
And that's I feel like that's when you have the potential to be your best, is if you are yourself. Like, I guess you could be pretty good at being somebody else, but the best that you could possibly be is if you are yourself.
That's real.
Yeah.
Wow, that's powerful, man. Like, and I think that's what I feel like every artist should strive for. Whether you're an artist or whatever field you're in, one of the things that I feel some of the viewers or listeners might not know, although I feel like if you're a true Out the Box fan, you would know, is that JSWISS actually used to have a show on the Out the Box radio station.
Yeah.
Just Do. Right? That was
Respect Do.
Respect Do. Oh, yeah. Man. I messed up. Respect Do. I was close. Respect Do. That was
the show, man.
Oh, man. I was close, right? But Respect Do. Yeah. I was like, man, before I said it, I was like, right. All right, but no, for real though, he had a show called Respect Do.
Yeah.
He interviewed like a lot of dope talent.
Yeah, it was cool. I had to talk to Sky Zoo, Add 2, Odyssey.
Yep.
Yeah, the Odyssey
Fresh
one.
Daily.
That was, Fresh Daily. I remember the Odyssey was probably the one that went
yeah.
the furthest, because he was talking about how he had a song, like J. Cole was a fan of his.
Right.
And like J. Cole told him like, yeah, me and Kendrick got a song over one of your beats. And that was when everyone was like waiting on the Kendrick J. Cole album. So like that was a big deal to hear like about a physical track that existed, and that was the first time he had talked about that. So that was like the big one from that. Yeah.
Dope. So I brought that up to say that a lot of people might not know, people that do know you as an artist, they don't know that you're a journalist. You know what I mean? Like you actually do journalist work. I don't know if you want to, if you feel comfortable listening to naming some of the publications, but I know that you've done journalist work on a prestige level.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I went to school. I went to school for journalism at UNC Chapel Hill, and then I wound up getting an unofficial degree in music, because that's what really started me getting in the studio, being there and everything. But I went to school, for journalism, for broadcast journalism. But I've written for New York Times, BET, Dime Basketball Magazine, some places like that. Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
The reason why I brought that up too is because I'm curious to know. I don't really meet a lot of artists, although we're seeing that happen now. Like we're seeing like artists like Nori and Joe Budden.
Yeah.
They go from rappers to actual radio hosts now.
Yeah.
But I don't really see a lot of artists that dabble in both. And I'm curious to know, like, how does journalism inspire or impact your music?
It's funny. I guess that affinity for words is kind of the same. I don't see directly how it like impacts my music, having that background in journalism, but people always say like, oh, you're good with words, so it must be feeding itself in some way. And it's funny, it actually ties into, because I talked about the album, but I didn't say the title of the album. The title of the album is Every Word is $1.
Okay, we're gonna get into it.
And so but it kind of goes with that idea, because it's like a personal statement about myself, in that it seems like the value in what I do, people have recognized the value in what I do. It has something to do with words, whether it's, the writing or the interviewing, or, the writing and making songs and performing that way. Mm-hmm. For most of my adult life, after like I gave up my dream of wanting to be a basketball player, it's been, whether what I gotten paid for, what I gotten props for, it's always had to do with, You know, you're a great journalism writer, a great journalism interviewer, you're a great MC, you're a great performer. So it's always got to do with words. And that's like what's the most value that it seems like I bring, whether it's prose or it's rhyme, it's the words.
Dope. Yeah, it's just a question I had because I see how dedicated you are to both. You know what I mean? You know what I want to do? Actually, we got the new album that's coming out. There's a single out. I want to take a break and I want to go into that single just so people can hear it. Yeah. And then when we come back, we'll talk about it. Do you want to introduce the single?
Yeah, so this is a single off of Every Word is a Dollar, new album coming April 5th. This one is The Gift. Let's go.
Check it out.
Word.
So we're back to Out the Box Talks. We just took a quick music break because we got my brother JSWISS in the place to be. He has a new single out called The Gift. We just played it. Yeah. So if you listen to the station, Out the Box Radio, you got a chance to hear that. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the album now. Give us the title of the album and tell us about the direction you're taking it with this.
Yeah. So the album is called Every Word is a Dollar. And like I said earlier, it's a personal statement about myself in that, you know, my affinity for words, you know, I feel like that's the greatest value, what I got in the most props. That's what I'm like here to kind of deliver, you know, is the words and the inspiration that could come with that. And then also just a general statement about like the world, you know, too, and that I feel like if you consider, you know, the cost, which is nothing really, words are basically like the most valuable thing in the world because they cost nothing to produce, but you know, you could change people, their attitude, you can move countries, move movements, all that just with words. And just think about even the people in history that have this great legacy just because of what they were able to do with words. You know, and like I said, they cost absolutely nothing, you know, to produce. Maybe if you want to record a word in a certain way, you got to, but to bring words out of your mouth for people to hear them, it costs absolutely nothing. And so it's like I said, a personal statement about, you know, myself and the world, and then realizing too, if words are the thing that are kind of like my superpower and what I have the greatest control over, and that also happens to be what is like the most valuable thing in the world, then that's something powerful. You know, if the most valuable thing in the world is what you have the greatest control over, then you got some power. And so it's like with realizing that, you know, what are you going to do with that? And so that's the idea of Every Word is a Dollar. Yeah.
Wow. I love when artists like break down because I wasn't even thinking it was going that far, but now
I couldn't have put it any better, man. That's dope.
And it's funny because I actually had the title for probably like 3 years now because it was before it hit me a few months before I put out the No Music EP that this title really hit me. And then during that time I read Questlove memoir. I'm gonna forget the name of the book now, but he talked about like the titles for the Roots albums and how he would there would be three things. He said they would be a personal statement about the group, they would be a personal statement about the world, and then they would also be a statement about like hip hop. And like I thought about my title, I was like, Every Word is a Dollar isn't necessarily, I didn't see it as a statement on like the state of hip hop, like they would also have with their things. But I was like, oh, those two things that I had in mind, you know, was two of the three that they were also having in mind with their title. So it was interesting. So like things fall apart, you know, he was talking about how that was like talking about the world in general and like the state of hip hop, and then also a state about, you know, them as a group. Wow. You know, so it was interesting how that's similar thinking in what I was thinking about this title.
And then the book is Chinua Achebe's book too.
Yeah,
so it's funny how that all tied in, you know.
Yeah. So that was funny. But yeah, that's the thought process that went into the album title.
Dope. So we seeing that in April, right?
Yeah, April 5th. Yeah. And it's going to be a good balance. Like if you heard, like you see me live working with the band and you've heard like the No Music EP was very much like a live band sound. This is going to be less of a live band sound. I worked with, you know, even producers that are also musicians as well. So you get some of that flexibility of it's not just like, you know, throw on a loop that's sampled and, you know, just play the whole song like that. You know, there's full song development, you know, there's bridges and everything like that from working with people like that. But it's not going to be a sound that just sounds like a live band sound on it.
How long have you been on this grind, man? You know?
So I said, technically you could say it's like in the 10th year now because I put out my first mixtape December 15, 2009. I Am Robot was the name. Individually Most Ridiculous of Brilliance out today. It was an acronym. That was the first
That's a brilliant guy right here.
And yes, I put out that mixtape December 2009. I remember the first time like I did a performance where my name was actually on the bill was maybe like 2 or 3 months after that, and then it's just been nonstop after that. Yeah.
Wow.
So what would you offer, you know, or what would you say to people out there that are really trying to do things from an independent level? Because people have this kind of perception of the industry and the music industry, like when they see something on television or hear it on the radio, that it's just going to be easy. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And no one really has a set understanding of why they're going into the business and how long of a stretch it's going to be and how much endurance it's going to need.
Well, I mean, even if you don't go the independent level, I don't think it's ever like easy. And then also too, like doing it independently now, doing a lot of that individual control, you know, is what I like, but there's also no wrong way. I mean, maybe you go the major label route and that could work for you, you know, too. The one thing that I say though is like the music business in general, and then especially being an artist, like it's not a good business decision. Like, don't think of it as like, oh, I can make some money as an artist. I don't really love being an artist, but I want to do it just as a career, you know, to make some money. Because it's really, if you look at it from that perspective, it's a horrible business decision. Like,
and we really don't need any more people that are really, in my opinion, it's my opinion personally, like that are approaching it for that reason. There's a legacy that's involved with this. You know?
And it's so uncertain, and it could take so long, and there's so much you need to put in before you really get the return. It's really not like a good business decision. Like, you know, if I didn't really like love to do it, then it would make no sense to be doing this. So it's like, if you think like, oh, like that looks cool and it seems like it can make me some money, like I never really wanted to do this, but let me try to do it for that reason, that then it's stupid. You know, really. And I'm only doing it because all the practical reasons would tell me not to be doing this and not to be putting in this time, but you know, I love to do it. I feel like I have something to offer for it, and so that's why I'm doing it.
And there are just so many other avenues and other areas that you can be other than just being on camera or in front of everything. You know, you could be, you know, a concert promoter. You can be a key grip. You could be, you know, there's so many different things that you can actually maximize your potential in just being someone that's actually just taking up space, you know, when someone else can be filling that space who was meant to be doing that and actually wants to do it.
Or you could be that person on the mic and make songs, but you could do it as just a hobby too. I mean, there's no, but I'm saying like to take it on as like a full-on career. I mean, if you're gonna do that, like you really have to want to love it enough and be willing to put in the time enough to realize that like it's not a smart, practical, you know, decision to do it as a full-on career.
Wow, that's wisdom, man. and I feel like a lot of people start out not having that insight, so it's good that you're able to share that. And I've definitely seen that myself. You know? I feel like all of us have seen that, right? Man. But yeah, you really have to be passionate about this. You know, I could just speak about the multiple times where I contemplated stopping Out the Box Radio, but it's almost, and I've told you about this A-Level, like this thing kind of feeds my soul. Like it just, I do it really because I love it. And I know that's a cliche thing to say, but it's the truth, you know?
And you're actually doing something with, like, I mean, I remember when I met you at Brooklyn Hip Hop Festival, like, you know, you were getting the word out about it, but I was definitely familiar with what you were doing already. So it's not like nobody is listening, no one's realizing, you know, either.
Right.
Someone's always watching, someone's always listening. That's what you always have to remember. It may not be 1,000 people. So it could be just one person, but so long as that one person is being impacted, then you fulfilled what you've been trying to do.
Definitely. You know? Word. So I just want to like talk about some of the current things that's happening in the news. I know recently, what was it? Spike Lee just won the award, his first Oscar
for best film adaptation screenplay.
Yes, and it was for Black Klansman, right?
Black Klansman, yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I've been speaking to you about this A-Level, and, you know, Swiss, you could give your points on this as well. In reference to Spike Lee and his impact on hip-hop, and, like, what does this mean in terms of Spike Lee's legacy? And because he's had a big impact on hip-hop.
Spike Lee has had a long legacy on hip-hop. We're going back to the 87, 88, 89, do the right thing, you know. And it was just interesting that that's the statement that he made in his speech when he jumped on Samuel Jackson and he was like, you know, wow, this is great. And when he made a speech, because, you know, Spike is always going to make a speech. He's going to make a statement no matter where he is. That's what he does. And he just made a mention about, you know, Donald Trump and everything that's going on right now. And he was urging people to, you know, in the 2020 election, get on the side of history and do the right thing.
Do the right thing. I heard that, yeah.
So I'm like, wow, he uses the title of his own movie in a statement to make a profound statement, you know, like that. I thought it was dope because, you know, we had how many people that really came out of that whole movement? Public Enemy.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You know, that whole shut them down and fight the power.
Yeah.
That was do the right thing.
Yeah.
It don't get any more hip hop than that.
That's real.
Spike's films really set the platform and set the stage for a lot of, you know, iconic hip hop groups to get out there and that we know them today. So without Spike, you know, hip hop wouldn't be what it is today. Spike was in the Scenario video.
Right.
People remember that, you know. Spike was always there, you know.
And I think it's safe to say that at the time that we're recording this show, it is still Black History Month, so he actually won it during Black History Month. But his speech was interesting.
Yeah.
Your thoughts, Swiss?
My thoughts on it is that, you know, it's cool that, you know, he won it, but at this point, like, his legacy is so much bigger than that. Like I was saying, like every year somebody wins an Oscar. So like in the decades that he's been doing it for, there's been how many Oscar winners, but how many people in the time that he's been around can say that they've ascended to a level of a Spike Lee?
That's real.
Like that.
True.
So he's already got yeah. So he's already got something that's worth like much more than Oscar. I mean, the Oscar just says basically that's like another fan in addition to like the millions of. That's almost like, you know, you're an artist and you got like, you know, 5 million fans, and then you just got like 1,000 fans that are supposed to be important people that also say that they liked you, but you got 5 million fans. So it's
right.
You know, that's how I feel about it. So I guess I'm happy for him. It seemed like it meant something to him. You know, he was excited about it, but he's already like, I mean, I think you have to win like 10 Oscars, you know, to be like in the same conversation of being like a Spike Lee. So, I mean, this is just an extra little notch on his belt.
I mean, you're looking at a guy that literally makes films dependently or independently, you know, from the moment he started his career, from, you know, She's Gotta Have It to Malcolm X. I mean, that's the whole independent spirit right there. I mean, they, you know, Warner Brothers, I believe, was the company that pulled the plug on the movie during production. He went to Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan and all these people to get that film made. They pulled the plug on it when they were in the editing room. So he's gonna make a film one way or another. So, and him setting off that kind of independent spirit, you know, it's kind of really sparked off this movement now that you're seeing now. You're seeing your Kendricks and your Drakes and people that are really not using a traditionally prestigious award shows like Grammys and Oscars to validate their careers. You know, like you said before, it doesn't matter now. You know, I'm way much more of an iconic figure, and I'm not going to use an Oscar award to define who I am.
Because I mean, if you're talking about Spike Lee, like if a Spike Lee film is coming out, like you're going to sell that film by saying Spike Lee directed it. Like if he was an up and comer, then maybe you might say like directed by Oscar award winning director, you know, whoever. But if Spike Lee puts out a film, you're not going to get people to go to it by saying this is Oscar award-winning Spike Lee. It's just Spike Lee.
Yeah, you don't need to say that.
You know? And he's already been to that level where he's the draw, not the whatever the award. So, you know, he's already bigger than that. I mean, I'm happy for him. Congratulations. Which
is inspiring because he did that independently.
Yeah.
He developed his own name, his own brand from an independent level. And I think that is just real for anyone out there to be inspired by that, is that you can build your own wealth by yourself. You know?
So also in the news, and I posted this, I feel like last week in the Hip Hop Thinks Out the Box group. De La Soul has an album coming out that's supposed to be produced by Pete Rock and DJ Premier. Did you hear about this?
Yeah, is it like 2 albums? It almost seemed like it was like a double album.
Based on what I read, it seems like it's 2 albums, but I feel like it's just this one main album and there's like another special album that comes after. I don't know if it's an EP, but I know from what I read, it says that they're both producing that, at least that one follow-up album. But I'm just curious to know, like, I think it's great news.
Oh yeah.
Right? But do you feel like, I feel like De La has their own sound. Do you feel like this is, like, on paper it looks great, but do you feel like this is necessary for
I don't see anything wrong with it. I mean, for the most part, De La's been that kind of group where they don't really just stick to one specific sound their entire career. I mean, they started out their career with Prince Paul. And by the second album, De La Soul is Dead, they started producing on their own for themselves. And then they move into the whole Jay Dilla era, and then they go, the Artificial Intelligence series, and then they move into, who produced on the last one? Was it Ninth? Or?
It was a bunch of people.
It was a mix. And even,
Super
they
Dave
even
West,
had like 2 Chainz on the songs and stuff.
And then they put out projects like, they did a whole album with just Dilla beats.
Okay.
And that's what I love about De La. They always think these ideas that I always think about, like, yo, that would be dope if this artist was doing music on this producer, what I mean, stuff like that. They do those kind of albums, and I think this is dope and refreshing. I mean, would I have liked to hear an album like this 10 years ago? Sure, I would love to hear it a lot sooner, but I'm not mad that it's not coming out. That it's coming out now.
I guess my question is really like, how does Primo and Pete Rock producing a whole De La Soul album? How does that further their legacy? Does that make another impact on their legacy?
I think it's just them just making dope music.
Okay.
It's just I just think it's making dope music, and for 2 iconic hip hop producers at that, they're pretty much in my holy trinity, 4 horsemen of hip hop producers. Anyway,
indeed.
So
and I think I was going to say, I think they're great producers too, in that they have like their own sound, but I think they also like know how to work with artists and like really try to get the best out of them. Like they don't, I agree with that. They don't just like make beats and then say just do whatever. Like they know how to like actually produce, a project and produce.
They're from
artists.
that class of producers that really don't exist like that anymore. Right. And these are DJ producers that cut and scratch on beats. You don't really hear that too much these days, and that's what I grew up listening to, both of them.
That's what's up. I'm definitely looking forward to it. I just had to ask that question, but I think it's going to be dope either way. They just always kind of deliver whatever they put out.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm definitely excited and want to check that out.
Any new music y'all listening to? Anything you listen to, Swiss, that just came out within the year?
Oh man, trying to think of mix. Favorite project to come out in the past year, hip hop wise, specifically, is definitely the Saba album. Care for
I heard
Me.
about that. Yeah,
that's my favorite. Also, I listen to like outside of hip hop too. So there's like this group Butcher Brown. That's kind of like a jazz fusion kind of funk band. Right. Kind of great affiliate with them. This guy Braxton Cook. He's a sax player.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Singer. Who's real dope. I just got hip to this band, connected with out in the UK called Jakul.
Okay.
The first song I heard is kind of like a Hiatus Coyote, vibe.
Okay.
That's cool. People that I'm working with, 2 homies, Marcus Machado, guitar player, who he's on the album.
I forgot to talk about that.
Also, he produces and he's a guitar player, so he's on the album. We had the EP that we did together. Him is producing.
Black Summer, right?
Yeah, the Black Summer.
Yeah.
He's been doing a lot of stuff with Pharoah Monch, so like the song with him and Fame. On it, he's playing on that, like kind of producing on that.
Yeah,
he's dope. FKA Jazz, is a sax player. His stuff is kind of like jazz and electronic, a little hip hop, too, that he's doing. That's dope. There's a lot of really dope people. I'm gonna stop there because I'm gonna forget so many. But I just gave you a few. Yeah.
I mean, I just wanted to highlight, really for the top of the year, because we're only in. Well, we'll be in March by the time people hear this, but it's only been a couple months in, and it's been some really good projects. I got to shout out to Smith & Wesson.
Yeah.
Because they just put out an album produced by Ninth Wonder and the Soul Council. It's called The All, and I really, really like that album. Yeah. I also want to highlight Czarface meets Ghostface. That's 7L and Esoteric and Ghostface Killer. They put out a collabo album, dope album as well. I gotta shout out John Robinson, also known as Lil Psy. He just put out a project. I want to say it's a soundtrack, but I don't think it is. It's just music inspired by a film. There's a film that came out. I'm not sure how long ago, but it's online for you to watch. It's called The Secret to Balling, and it's like dealing with like giving little tips and insight on, getting your financial, status together. It's pretty cool. I believe Damon Dash is highly involved, and he's in a number of the interviews, and there's a few other artists. Really? I think Snoop is on it, and I gotta give props to John Robinson because he's been doing a lot of work that's just putting what we consider hip hop education in the music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he has an album coming out with Jay Rawls that's all about that hip hop education. So be on the lookout for that. I definitely want to try to bring him on the show at one point. But I just really wanted to shout that out.
Yeah.
We getting ready to get up out of here. But Swiss, I thank you for being here. Any
Thank you for
last
having
words?
me.
Yeah, no doubt. Any last words you want to say? For the people before we go.
Man, new album April 5th. Every word is $1, so pay attention. The gift is out now. By the time it's out, the video for the gift should be out too. So I won't talk about too much about that, but it's a real cool concept. So definitely check out that video. It's going to be on YouTube, whatever the channels. And April 5th, and April 13th, the album release show is going to be at our Rockwood Music Hall, stage 2. It's a Saturday, 9 p.m. So come out to that. It's going to have the live band as usual. It's going to be a real good time.
Keep me with that. We're gonna share that on the the page, the Out the Box page.
Word.
Last thoughts, A-Level.
Yep. Shout out to Royal Vision. Royalty is in your vision. Edward Fresh Prince Harris. You know what I'm saying?
Word.
What up? Shout out to my sister on the camera, Talia Jim. You know what I'm saying?
Talia Jim.
My sister Leslie, mom, everybody, my wife, my daughters right now. I left them at home. Shout out to the Marston's that are able to babysit right now so I can be here and doing this thing right now. This is dope.
Word. Shout out to everybody that hold us down, man, and support us to make this happen.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you again, Swiss. We're going to ride out with some music. Is there anything you think we should play? You want to do something else from you?
What should we play?
Anything you rocking with?
What should we play? Let's play something off of that Cyber project.
Okay.
Let's play Life.
Life.
That's my song. Yeah.
All right, we're going to do that. So keep it locked. Remember, we do this bi-weekly. Out the Box Talks. It's on the Anchor.fm app. We're recording out of the Anchor Podcast Lab in Manhattan. So shout out to Anchor. And just keep it locked. We're going to have a lot more interviews coming up. And we'll be here. So stay tuned. Peace.
Peace.